Hey guys, Mike here. This is my reaction to the Monster Hunter Wilds second trailer. Let's get right into it.
Over there!
Why are you here?
That seems like a Leviathan type monster.
Can't do this alone!
Was she in? She wasn't in the last trailer, was she? I mean, she seems like a main character because she's voiced. I think this is another main character as well.
We need to shake them off! Follow me! Yeah! Here it comes!
It's an interesting biome. It's just, I mean, I know it was the one shown in the last trailer, but it's just sand everywhere. Whereas something like the Wildspire Waste, you know, it still had a water area, even though it was sort of deserty-like. But then, you know, the question is, how big is this biome really going to be? Because when you think about it, Wildspire Waste is not that big. Like, the boundary of the area is not that big. But it seems like the area, you can actually go here. I'm under that impression. Like, you could even possibly go back here as well. And that's quite large.
Too many of them!
And I guess that also makes sense because you're given a mount in this game. So they're really trying to make you use the mount more.
Watch out!
Whereas something like in Monster Hunter World, you didn't really have a mount like the Palamute in Monster Hunter Rise. And even in Monster Hunter Rise, you had the very fast mount with the Palamute, but the areas still weren't that big, and you could still fast travel.
For that glove!
But here, I think they're really trying to make the mount very impactful by pairing the mount with a very large area that it can traverse, making it very practical and a real gameplay element. I feel like that's like the Almudron skeleton,
I will draw a tire! Cover me!
because the way he just kind of popped out of the sand and started spitting.
You got it. Be careful.
Yeah, that definitely looks like Almudron.
Be ready!
But the interesting thing is, I'm wondering if these are small monsters or big monsters. I think they're considered small monsters.
If we can make it to the rocks, we may lose them!
This reminds me of the Diablo's Trap.
As I feared, it picked up our scent.
So it seems like there's an underground area.
I'll handle it. You find someplace safe.
Thank you!
Okay, this is interesting. So, like, who is the hunter here? Because I said they were both main characters, so where's your hunter? That's what I'm wondering. Or maybe your hunter, this is your hunter. Okay, so maybe this is your hunter, and she's actually voice acted. Okay, so that means Capcom actually recorded voice lines for your hunter, which means your hunter's not a silent protagonist, which is actually good because that's one thing I can't stand in video games is silent protagonists. And they say, oh, well, just insert yourself into the protagonist. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't talk. So I'm actually glad if really is your hunter and they can talk, I'm really excited for that. So she had a heavy bowgun and it seems she has a greatsword. They really like to show this heavy bowgun while on the mount. We saw that in the last one. That looked like a turf war. Go back. So this looks like a turf war. But that's interesting. It's a different type of turf war. Turf war in Monster Hunter World and even Monster Hunter Rise was just two big monsters fighting, but that looked like a 2-on-1. So if those were big monsters that Almudron won, it was a 2-on-1. So it was kind of an unfair fight. And that I actually kind of like that because that shows the uncaringness and the unfairness of the natural world. So I don't think we've seen this monster before. It looks like it didn't have a face, like, unless those were its antenna. See, like, where's its eyes? I actually don't know where its eyes are, but this looks like some sort of antenna? Or is it a mouth? I'm not sure. It looks, yeah, it just looks weird. Like, it looks like an insect, almost. That's obviously not Astalos. But that's one thing I'm really excited for this game. I really hope they don't use any of the old monsters, or the classic monsters like Puke Puke, Rathalos, Rathian, Diablos. I hope they completely throw out all those monsters and don't use them at all for wilds. And that may be a controversial statement, but I'm personally, I don't want to say I'm tired of fighting Rathian and Rathalos because we had them twice in a row in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, and even before that, Monster Hunter 4 as well, and Monster Hunter GU. So I think if this is true, I think Capcom is also feeling the same way. Like, okay, we had enough of these monsters. Let's try to look at completely different monsters. And I'm personally fine if they use the skeletons from the old monsters, but they take those skeletons and they make completely new monsters out of them. That'd be so pog. If this is true, this is probably one of the biggest things that I'm excited for Monster Hunter Wilds is fighting completely different monsters. Doshaguma.
Don't worry, the hunter is here. Just watch. You'll see what hunting is all about.
So I feel like the greatsword came out of something. So here's the sheath of the greatsword, but I don't think the sword is actually there. Okay, the sword is there.
Just watch. You'll see what hunting is all
This looks more like a cutscene, but this is still pretty cool. And you have the iconic greatsword coming out of the cloth.
about.
All right, that's a really cool trailer. That's pretty much it. See you next time.